Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be making the body spray or perfumes. You can also use them as a room spray. The way that I make them, there's no alcohol in them and they don't leave any stains on black clothing or dark fabrics, so this would be perfect if you wanted to use it as a room spray. So I'm going to be using these 4-ounce Boston Round bottles and the sprayer tips that go with them from Wholesale Supplies Plus, and I can leave a link down below for you guys if you want to use these. They're small, so you can, if you want to use it as a perfume, you can pretty much throw it in your purse or bag, or you can make a cologne even with a different type of fragrance. The one that I'm going to be using today is Cucumber Melon, and this one I got from Candle Science. So it's going to be kind of like one of the major kind of fragrance stores, kind of top sellers, I guess. So there's only 4 ingredients in this. So you're going to need distilled water, your fragrance, preservative, which I'm going to be using Phenonip from Brambleberry, and then Polysorbate 80, which I got from Amazon. And the distilled water you can get from the dollar store, and I just got the one in the baby section, I guess, for formulas. And you're going to need distilled water because tap water has a bunch of additives in it that you don't want in your final product. So what you're going to start out with is your 2 cups of water, and then I'm going to be using the pipettes to get the 2 milliliters of the polysorbate and the preservative, and then 9 milliliters of fragrance oil. And you can add as much or as little as you like. If it's too strong, use less. You could probably get away with maybe 4 to 5 milliliters if you want a slight fragrance. 9 milliliters is just right for me. It adds kind of just that boost that you need if you're spraying it on fabrics or clothes. And then if you want to go more than that, I probably wouldn't go over maybe 12 milliliters, because once you start raising that, you're going to start having to add more polysorbate as well, and you don't want to kind of throw off the balance of things. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add the fragrance first. So we're going to do the 9 milliliters of the Cucumber Melon. And then we're going to add 2 milliliters of the Phenonip. I'm going to move this over. And you want to change out your pipettes. You don't want to mix everything together. So we're going to go 2 milliliters. And the reason why we're using a preservative in this is because we are using distilled water, and anytime there's water in your product, you're going to need to add a preservative. If it's only going to be used for about a week and then you're going to run out, you might not have to use one. It's just because sometimes these room sprays, if you leave them sitting in a cupboard or a closet somewhere, even though you can't see it, there is bacteria growing in there, so the preservative really helps that. So now we're going to be adding the 2 milliliters of Polysorbate 80. And it's definitely very thick stuff. And Polysorbate 80 is just kind of your emulsifying agent that'll combine the oils and water. If you don't use anything to help emulsify it, it's just going to be the typical chemical reaction, or the typical reaction between oil and water. You're not going to get it to mix together. So right now you can see that everything's pretty much separated in there. The water's still clear, but you can see the oils on top. The Phenonip has sunk down to the bottom, and the Polysorbate 80 is just kind of hanging around on the top and the bottom. So now what you're going to do is take your stick blender, and you're going to want to, or you can probably, if you have a small handheld blender, but a stick blender, if you're a soaper, chances are you already have one, but you're just going to stick it down in there, and you're going to get the air bubbles out, and you're just going to just blend this until it's emulsified. And what that is you're just going to look for it to change color, and it's going to turn, typically it's going to turn into a white milky color, and that's okay if you want to. If you have a big enough label, you can just circle it around your bottle. And usually what I do is I only have a little square label that'll go on here, and if anyone asks about what the color is, I'll just give them a brief example of what the emulsification process is. And I know it's probably boring to them, but most of you already know what that is. So we're just gonna give this a quick blend. And pretty much as soon as you start blending, you can see that it's emulsified, and it looks basically just like milk. Oops. Had a little overkill there. And if you're doing large batches, you can just double the recipe, or triple, or however much. And most of you may be familiar with PhenoNip, but there is a kind of a solution for the PhenoNip and water mixture. They kind of have to be within range of each other, or depending on how much water you have to use a certain amount of PhenoNip. And this recipe that I have, I just tried to keep it small, and that way I only had to use 2 milliliters of preservative in there with the 2 cups. So basically this is what it looks like. It's nice and just pretty much like milk. So what you'll do is you'll just take your bottle and you'll just fill them all up. And if you want to, you can use a scale for this. But usually I just kind of fill them up to this little point right here. Let me clean up my mess again. I'm one of the messiest people in the world. And then all you'll have to do is just stick your cap on. And then get the excess air out. And then I'll be ready to work. And like I was saying, it does not leave any residue. Even though it is a milky color, it will not leave any residue on anything. It's not the color that comes out of the bottle at all. It's just pretty much, it's kind of just the emulsification process, and it's going to just look this way. So it's not going to leave any type of just stains or anything on clothing. And I'm wearing a black hoodie right now, so you can see it's just a fine mist that you put on, and it does smell very, very good. And you can use this pretty much if you have guests coming over. You can put it on the sheets or anything like that. You can make a lavender fragrance. I know a lot of places sell the larger bottles, and different processes will result in a clear fluid. But the way that I do it is I try to make it as minimal as possible. There's no alcohol in it, so it's good if you want to use it as a body spray because it won't dry your skin out. And I have issues with dry skin, especially on my face. So if I made kind of like a cologne version of this and I sprayed it and it got anywhere near my face, I would just start cracking basically. So this is really good, especially for people that have allergies or skin irritations. Depending on what fragrance oil you use, you just have to be careful. If someone has allergies and you're going to give this to them, you would probably want to use less fragrance oil because it might just upset their allergies, or if they have asthma. But I think that it's simple to do, it's very quick, and the only thing you probably don't have on hand if you are a soaper is just maybe the little clear bottles. Everything else you probably already have in stock. If you make bath bombs, you probably already have Polysorbate 80 on you. And the Phenonip, if you've made anything else that has water in it, you probably already have. Or maybe you just got it because you watched the Soap Queen TV and she talked about it a lot, so you bought that. But you can also use any other type of preservative in this. Just keep the ratio to whatever water amount you use. So I did the 2 cups distilled water, 9 milliliters of fragrance, 2 milliliters of the Phenonip, and 2 milliliters of the Polysorbate 80. And I'll leave links to everything down below, so if you want to make this yourself and you don't have anything on hand, all you have to do is just go right down below and click on the link. I'll see you guys later, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world. Bye, y'all.